Okay, hi. I'm glad that you guys came out. I'm Officer Aisha Broussard with the Columbus Division Police Recruiting Unit. So I'm coming out here for the informational session to basically talk to you guys about our physical fitness test. That you need to make sure that you guys are out there running outside. You're doing your push-ups. You're doing your sit-ups. Don't just do the treadmill. If it's out there raining, going outside and running hills, doing sprints, doing different conditioning to get yourself ready. As a recruiter, if you guys have any kind of questions, any kind of concerns, we're here that you could call us. We'll help guide you along through the process. When you get your background investigator, if you guys have any particular questions about something that's going on or you can't get a hold of somebody, we're here to help you as the recruiters for the police department. So just feel free to reach out to us, send us an email. I have a business card for after if anybody has to talk to me, have any questions once the information session is over. I'm here to answer any kind of questions that somebody may have.
Thank you, Officer Broussard. Again, welcome everybody. Thank you all for being here. We're going to cover some information about the exam. We do stress physical fitness, even though that's not a part of your civil service test. It does happen soon after you're put on the eligible list. So that is something you want to prepare for. And we're grateful enough to have recruiting have resources where they're able to partner with you and make sure you're ready for each step along the way. To get into our PowerPoint tonight, or our presentation rather, we just want to start by getting to know some of the attendees, knowing maybe if there's an area we need to focus on a little bit more or something we can go over a little bit more quickly. Has anybody here taken the exam before? Okay, and then so it looks like a majority of the room, we have first timers here. Okay, and of those who took the exam, they may know, and this is something that we'll share with the crowd, if you pass the multiple choice portion of the exam, you do not have to retake that portion. So if you, it's considered a hurdle exam. Once you pass the multiple choice, that passing score stays with you until we make significant changes to the exam. Does anybody here already have an Ohio Basic Peace Officer Training Certificate? Okay, great. That is something that you'll get in the academy. We do have the test guide. That's kind of what we're going to be covering today. That's what was on your seat when you arrived. So feel free to thumb through that as we go through the presentation. A little background about the Civil Service Commission. Essentially, we govern the selection process for city jobs. We are separate from the Division of Police, so we're not police officers. And we evaluate candidates to ensure that your skills match the job. One way that we're making sure our test includes those skills that correlate to the job is with the job analysis. That's something that we do every 8 years. We go on ride-alongs with officers. We do interviews. We go over the job categories on the test, and we're asking them, is this still important? Is it less important? Do we need to focus more on this? Are we missing anything? And that is how we create our exam, or how we validate our exam, rather, to make sure we're asking you the right questions and testing you for the right things. The reason we exist is to ensure fairness, consistency, and equal access to jobs in the city. And we ensure that the selection process is merit-based. Your journey to police officer, this is something that you will see in your test guide, and we'll go over it quickly, but mostly what we're going to be focused on is that second milestone, taking and passing the exam. So the first milestone is to apply to take the job, to get the job, and to meet the minimum qualifications. There's also an abbreviated background questionnaire that's part of what you answer when you apply. So there's a brief screening process to make sure there's nothing that would absolutely rule you out from getting the job in your background. And the milestone, again, that we're going to be focusing on today is taking and passing the police officer exam. There are 2 phases, the multiple choice and the situational response assessment. You'll also need to submit your personal history statement and relevant documents to be added to the eligible list. And we'll talk more about what that's for later. Okay, so the eligible list, that's milestone 3. So once you pass the background standards review, you turn in your PHS, you'll do a polygraph at this point, and you'll take and meet the Ohio Peace Officer Training Commission, or OPOTIC, entry physical fitness standards. Milestone 4 is the referral list. This is where your background investigator has gone through all of your information and decided that you've passed the background process, and your information is handed off to the Public Safety Director's office. She selects who will she'll give a conditional offer of employment to. And if you're extended a conditional offer of employment, you'll get an email telling you what the salary is and letting you know that what your employment is conditional on. So that brings us to milestone 5. So there's a psychological evaluation, a medical exam, and a stress test that you'll do. That's what your offer of employment is conditional upon. So when you pass those things, you're extended a final offer. So you'll complete hiring paperwork at that point, and you'll start the police academy. You'll be invited to an orientation and things of that nature. Milestone 7 is the training academy. So you'll complete the police training academy. You'll meet all the OPOTIC standards. There's a separate set of standards to exit the academy, which you'll have those on your handout letting you know what you have to meet in order to graduate. And milestone 8, you are sworn in as a law enforcement officer in the state of Ohio, and you start a 1-year probationary period. So at that point, you're put with a field training officer, and you'll work with them for maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and you'll rotate between like 3 field training officers before you're on your own. So you still have support even after coming out of the academy. Okay, so back to today's focus. So our test, what it consists of is a multiple choice exam, that's phase 1. The situational response assessment, or SRA, is phase 2. There is optional secondary language testing. If you pass the multiple choice exam, we will email you inviting you to take that if you indicated fluency in another language on your application, and the personal history statement, or PHS. Okay, so how do we communicate with you in this process? Our primary method of communication is email. Critical information, we will also send a text letting you know to check your email. Text messages usually come out a couple days before your test date, just giving you your test date and time and reminding you to check your original notice for the address and your test time. So other ways we communicate information are information sessions just like this. There's also a program called Get Fit and Informed led by recruiting, and there is a background and OPOTIC information session that you'll go through once you're on the eligible list. And there's also workouts, they call it Cop Fit, where you'll actually be doing workouts that they currently do in the academy. So again, just partnering with you every step of the way, making sure you're ready for what's next. And the other way you can get information from us is by visiting our website, and you'll see our website there and the police recruitment website that is also in your prep guide. You'll also find in your prep guide the contact number for civil service and also for the police recruiting unit. If you brought your phone in, you can snap a picture of that if you'd like to. You'll also see our email addresses. This police fire testing at columbus.gov, when you receive a notice from us, it comes from that email. So you can always just reply to an email if you have a question. This is a QR code for our police officer webpage. So you'll be able to go on there and check that out as well. You'll also have that information in your prep guide. Okay, so test day. Phase 1, multiple choice, that exam is given at either 9 a.m. or 1 p.m. Phase 2, the SRA, follows the multiple choice exam. It's given in a separate area, and it is a video-based exam. So if you're taking the full test, if you've never tested before, you'll be starting out in this room. So again, thank you for being here. You've just alleviated some stress. Now you know where to come on test day. And after that, we'll escort you down to where you can take that phase 2 portion of the exam. If you've already passed the multiple choice exam, you may have different test times available to you online, and you'll just come and take that one phase of the test. Okay, so what are we testing? With the phase 1 multiple choice, we're testing cognitive skills, and phase 2, the SRA, we're looking at your situational awareness, problem resolution, and social intelligence. Okay, so our Civil Service Rule 7C, what does it mean? It means that it's a hurdle exam, as previously said. If you've passed the multiple choice exam in or after 2018, you will not have to retake it until we make significant changes to the exam. You are considered to have passed for this test. So what'll happen is when you apply, your previous test score will come through as long as you're not creating a new profile. If you're using the same profile, we'll see your test score, and then we'll pass you along and invite you just to take phase 2 of the exam. You do still need to apply to take the exam, though. So Rule 7 only applies to entry-level firefighter and police officer written exam phases, and only applies if there have been no significant changes. If we make significant changes to the exam, everyone will have to start over with phase 1. Okay, so location and dates. Our test dates vary. This is the location, 1111 East Broad Street, and we have testing dates all throughout the year. You'll be able to reschedule your assigned date when we send you a scheduled date. There are steps on how you can reschedule if it doesn't work with your calendar. And when you test determines what academy class you'll be on track for. Okay, so self-scheduling. So once you receive a notice that we've accepted your application and you receive your test date, you'll have those steps on how to reschedule. You'll still use the same profile you used to apply. So you can log in there. If you go under profile, there's a place where you can see all of your city job applications. You'll simply click on the police officer application. It'll show your test date, and there's a hyperlink you can quickly press that says change date. And rescheduling will not generate a new email notice for you. So if you do change your date, a best practice is to make sure you put it in your phone. We'll still have you on the roster for your new date, and we'll be expecting to see you. You just may not receive another confirmation. And another best practice is to reschedule immediately. It's first come, first serve. So if the test date fills up, there is a backup plan, but scheduling yourself for the exam guarantees you the opportunity to test. Okay, alternative test dates. So if you don't see test dates on the website that work for you, you can arrive on a day that you're not scheduled for and be added to the wait list. So you'll get here at 8:30 if you want to take the 9 a.m. exam, or 12:30 if you want to take the 1 p.m. exam. The wait list is also first come, first serve. So if we don't have everybody show up, which is a rare occurrence, we'll let you test in place of somebody else that was scheduled. But again, the best practice is to reschedule yourself if you can. Okay, so our test day, what you can expect, you'll take phases 1 and 2 on your scheduled test day. You must take both phases on the same day unless you've already passed the written phase. Then you'll only take the SRA. You'll be asked to turn off all cell phones when you come up to the second floor, and those will be secured when you come into the test room. Attire, we get this question a lot. What am I supposed to wear? Do I need to dress up? You need to dress comfortably. Sometimes it's freezing in here. Sometimes it's burning up hot. We recommend dressing in layers and dressing comfortably. You'll be here for a few hours. You know, wearing a scratchy sweater might not be the best bet. You want to make sure there's nothing distracting you from being able to do your best on the exam. So you want to make sure you're comfortable. You can bring snacks or a lunch if you need to. When you leave the test room, we've got a cafe area just across the hall here where you can go in there and snack before you go down to take the SRA if you need to. Okay, so general testing tips on how to prepare. We recommend getting a full night's sleep. Use as much of the prep guide as possible before the exam day. Do not bring firearms unless you're already with the Columbus Division of Police. Do not bring firearms. Arrive early. And if you arrive after instructions begin, when we close the door to this room, you will not be admitted. And make sure you bring your ID. That's how we'll verify who you are and make sure we give you the right paperwork when you sit down to test. Okay, so what's on the test? So phase 1, the multiple choice, it includes spelling, vocabulary, reading comprehension, and map reading. There's a 2-hour test limit. There are 100 questions on the exam, and it is a pass-fail exam. So what that means is there is a score that you have to reach in order to pass the exam, but it's not considered in your final placement on the eligible list. Your SRA score is 100% of the weighted score and determines where you're placed on the eligible list for hire. We do offer test accommodations. So if there's an ADA or if you have English as a second language, there is an accommodation form you can fill out to request additional time on the test. So if you had like an IEP in high school, or if you have dyslexia, something like that, fill that out, get it submitted to us, and we'll work with you to find an alternate test day. Okay, in the multiple choice sections, this is the breakdown, what you can expect to see on the test. So for spelling, we're going to be asking you to choose words that are spelled correctly and also to identify words that are spelled incorrectly. For vocabulary, you'll be tasked with finding words that have the same meaning and words that have opposite meanings. And reading comprehension, you'll be presented with a reading passage and you'll answer questions based on that passage. And then the final section will be map reading. You'll be presented with several different maps, and there are questions that you'll have to answer based on those maps. Okay, so now we're going to kind of go over some practice questions. You do have questions like this in your prep guide as well. So just an idea of a spelling correct question and what it looks like. The city will host a graduation ceremony for every police officer who successfully completes training. So the correct spelling of ceremony, if you want to just think about it here, the answer would be B. Ceremony is CEREMONY. And so you would want to bubble in B on your answer sheet. So another type of question you'll see is choosing the word where all the words might be spelled correctly, but they have different meanings. So for instance, Aunt May lived alone in a large home. To earn extra money, she was considering taking in a boarder, broader. So you just want to think about that for a second. The correct answer for this question would be B. So border A is a line separating two political geographic areas. B, a boarder is a person who receives regular meals when staying somewhere in return for payment or services. And C, broader is having a wider distance from side to side or having a wider scope of subject areas. So since all three of these have the correct spelling, you need to choose the one that has the correct context. So you would fill in the B, the answer for B on your answer sheet. Okay, so now we're going to look at words that are spelled incorrectly. So we have a question here. We're looking at misspell, cruiser, and restaurant. Which word is spelled incorrectly? Think about it for a few seconds. Okay, the correct spelling of cruiser is CRUISER. So the correct answer is B. So you would fill in B on your answer sheet. Okay, so moving on to vocabulary and what most similar meanings. Choose the word that has the same meaning or most nearly the same meaning as the given word. So here the word is inebriation, and we're looking at A, celebration, B, intoxication, or C, moderation. Okay, so since intoxication means the same or most nearly the same as inebriation, you should have picked answer B and filled in the letter B on your answer sheet. If you think that you've picked up on a pattern with the answers for the presentation, don't rest on your laurels, stay on your A game. All the answers are not B. Okay, so choose the word with the most opposite meaning. So here the word is insufficient. Our options are plenty, demanding, or inadequate. And the answer is A. Since the word plenty means the opposite of insufficient, you should have picked answer A and filled in A on your answer sheet. Okay, so there's a list of words starting on pages 13 and 14 of your prep guide. It's a bunch of words. Don't get overwhelmed. These words are words that you will encounter either in your prep guide, on the exam, on exam day, or you may encounter them once you're actually in the academy. So best practice for these words so that you're not overwhelmed, we recommend creating cue cards. I like to say go through the words and just mark off the ones that you're sure you know the meaning of, do a quick search, make sure you're right, and then you're kind of left with what you need to focus on after that. So if you were to create a cue card for the word alibi, you would have the correct spelling on one side. On the other side, you will write the definition of the word or write it in a sentence. So alibi is a claim that one was somewhere when an act took place or an excuse. And the example is, LaTanya confirmed Rob's alibi. LaTanya said Rob was at the movies Sunday at noon. Okay, so now we're moving into reading comprehension. So those list of words will also appear within the reading passages on the test as well. So knowing those words is key. So for reading comprehension, it's looking at your ability to comprehend written passages, compare different viewpoints, and apply definitions. So you'll use limited information to draw accurate conclusions about relationships between people, events, and concepts. So pages 17 through 19 in the prep guide have reading comprehension examples that you can go through. So in this section of the exam, you'll read passages and you'll answer questions based on each passage. So you'll refer back to each passage as needed. So you don't need to try to memorize the passage or guess the questions. You can refer back to that page of the test booklet as often as you need to find your answers. And you want to try to understand and visualize the events and the relationships described within the passage. So your task is to show that you can read, understand, learn from text in passages, and apply what you learn to related situations. So section 4, map reading. So you'll be able to refer back to the maps. You don't need to memorize anything. You can look at the question. You can refer back to the map as often as you need to. So in this section of the exam, you'll be showing that you can read, learn, and apply learning to specific situations. So you can find what that looks like, examples of map reading on pages 20 and 21 in your prep guide. So tips for map reading: make sure you can read the key for each map. Be familiar with your compass rotations or your cardinal directions as north, east, south, and west, and know your directions in relation to each other. So if you're facing north, which way do you turn to go east, that sort of thing. Okay, so tips for multiple choice. you'll read all the instructions and questions completely, answer the easiest questions first. If there's something that's tripping you up, you can cross out answers that you know aren't right to help narrow it down. And you want to make sure you're choosing the best answer. So don't waste too much time on a question. If you've marked out a couple answers and you've narrowed it down, but you're still not sure, skip the question. If you do that, just make sure you're skipping it on your answer sheet as well. And if you're having difficulty with the question, circle it and come back to it. Only answers marked on your answer sheet will be graded. So if you go through your test book and you're marking all your answers, we're only going to be scanning your answer sheet. So make sure your answers make it onto your answer sheet. Another tip would be to circle words that harden, like no, none, always, or soften words like sometimes or could, the question or statement, to help you with the context. Dictionaries will not be permitted. So again, knowing that list of words and what they mean, the opposites of the word, all of that will be helpful to you. So how to reduce test anxiety. So you want to prep using the prep guide. It's a resource that we poured a lot of time into. The prep guides that are here today, you're free to take with you. There's also a PDF version on our website if you prefer not to have to carry the prep guide around. You want to make sure you prepare and practice. In the prep guide, you'll find a checklist for how to prepare for the multiple choice exam, how to prepare for the SRA exam, and you'll be able to practice the types of questions or scenarios you may encounter. So show up to the test early, and you want to make sure you're well rested and not hungry. So another tip with testing and crossing out answers that you know aren't right, just know we're not trying to trick you. The question is the question. So if you think something is the right answer and you're reading the question and you're taking the context into play, then go with your gut is probably the right answer. So breathing or relaxation exercises before or during the test are good, and also positive self-talk. This one is my favorite. If you come in this room and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not prepared, I'm not going to pass the test, like, nobody needs that, So you're putting in the work. You came to the information session. You have the prep guide. You can pass this test. And we always refer to this process as a journey. There are some people that don't pass the test the first time they try, and that's okay. That's just a speed bump. That doesn't mean it's over. You can always come back and take the test again. So make sure you're doing that positive self-talk. Hey, I showed up. I'm here. I studied. I can pass this test. And you can, as long as you're putting in the work and studying. So make sure you're reading carefully, circling words. Don't rush. Ignore other people. There may be somebody in the room that has taken the test before, and so maybe they finish really quickly, and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm behind. Don't worry about that. There are also people that come and take the test, and they're like, I can't do this because they didn't pick up on my positive self-talk message that you all received, and they may opt out of taking the exam. So you don't know what the situation is. You just make sure you focus on your test in the way that you have prepared. And if others finish before you, it doesn't mean that they scored better. And make sure you stay on pace. Throughout the exam, we will be giving reminders. We'll let you know when you have an hour remaining, 30 minutes, and 5 minutes. So we'll kind of help pace you that way. Another tip to reduce test anxiety, just with that list of words, looking at that can be very intimidating. I recommend just making sure you're going over the words and giving it at least 15 minutes a day. So 15 minutes is roughly 1% of your day. And this is an amazing career that you're signing up for. You are worth the investment of 1% of your day in yourself. And I know we're crazy busy, and some people may say, I don't even have 15 minutes. If that's how you feel, I recommend that you check your screen time settings in your phone. I promise you have 15 minutes. So make that investment in yourself, show up for yourself every day, and you'll show up feeling confident and ready to pass this test. When we send out test results, we also give a breakdown of how you did in each section of the test. So you don't have to wonder oh, was it the spelling that tripped me up? Was it the maps? You'll have a clear indication of how you scored. And if you pass the test and you're like, oh, I struggled a little bit with the reading comprehension, but I passed, keep working on it. Preparing for this test is just the beginning. You're going to be taking spelling tests in the academy. Some people are like, why are we doing that? We have spell check now. It's important. You're going to be writing reports. They may make the news. Like, you want to make sure you know your stuff and that you're representing the Columbus Division of Police in a positive light. So the way you prepare for this test at the beginning of your journey is something you're going to constantly call back to when you're in the academy, because you're going to be preparing for tests throughout that time as well. Okay, we are moving on to phase 2. So I'm going to call Joel up here, and he is going to cover the rest of the presentation.
Thanks, LaToya. I'm Joel Gunn. I'm a Personnel Analyst 3 with the Civil Service Commission, and I'm going to tell you about the rest of the test. So up first is phase 2 of the entry-level police officer exam, which is called the Situational Response Assessment, or SRA. Candidates who pass the multiple choice and writing sample will have their SRA performance scored. The exam will take approximately 30 minutes. For each video, you will respond to an incident, and your response will be scored. Instructions on how to complete the SRA are included in the test video. You will view them in your test room on test day immediately before the test begins. The SRA scenarios do not assess your knowledge of Columbus Division of Police practices, policies, or procedures. That knowledge is learned on the job and during training. Thus, you do not need to know CPD practices, policies, or procedures to do well on the SRA. To give you context, you're going to play the role of a police officer interacting with a citizen, a peer officer, or a supervisor. You will view a scenario, and then you will respond by speaking to the characters on the screen. Please recognize that the characters in the scenes will not talk back to you, nor will they respond to you or react to what you're saying. It's going to be a still photograph, so we don't quite have the Xbox technology yet, but we're working on it. For now, it's just pictures. They will not respond. The SRA is 100% of the weighted score candidates receive on the police officer exam. So at the end of the scenes, the words "Respond Now" in big bold letters will appear on the screen. Then the time will start. Wait for "Respond Now" to appear before you start to speak. The words "Respond Now" will appear, followed by a countdown timer. Depending on the scenario, you will have between 45 and 60 seconds to respond before the next scenario starts. Do not speak in terms of what you would do if you were there. Respond as if you are actually in the scene. In other words, you will be talking to the people in the scenes as if you were having a conversation. Look at the TV screen, not the camera. Remember, the characters in the scenes will not talk back to you, nor will they respond to you or react to what you are saying. SRA study materials begin on page 54 of your test preparation guide. All right, tips for SRA responses. When listening and watching an SRA scenario, listen carefully to what's being said or asked. Consider all of the information provided by the narrator, the dispatcher, the characters, and the visual information on your screen. Organize your thoughts. Think about what you want to say before you speak. Formulate a plan and verbalize it in your response. Without a plan, you can talk yourself down the wrong path if you don't gather your thoughts first. Nothing wrong with taking a second to collect yourself before you start speaking. Use the countdown timer in each response period to ensure you are addressing the main issues involved in the situation within your allotted response time. Focus on important aspects of the situation. Do not present unnecessary, unrelated, or trivial information. When responding to the SRA scenarios, use your body language and facial expressions. Make those match your response. So, for example, I don't know, if you're trying to console someone, your body language and facial expressions, even your vocal tone, are all going to be different than if you're trying to get somebody to put a gun down. Those are two different things, two different ways you may respond. So make sure your body language, vocal tone is appropriate to the situation at hand. Most people tend to talk faster when they're nervous, so instead try to speak slowly and distinctly. Do not mumble. Speak so you can be understood. Avoid jargon. And by that, I just want to reiterate, you're not being graded on police tests or police procedures or policies. So I've seen people do this. Don't do the bit where you talk into the pretend CB on your shirt. You get no bonus points for saying, 7 Mary 3, we have a 111. Don't do that stuff. Just be a normal human being. That's what we're grading you on. Graders can't make assumptions about what you're saying or doing. You need to demonstrate your intent in the response. Pages 25 to 53 of the prep guide provide a wealth of information about the SRA. This information is also on our website. There are all kinds of sample scenarios there. So, for example, you're going to get the disclaimer about the video. The people in the videos pretending to be CPD police officers aren't wearing official CPD uniforms. For example, we don't have the big badge on the hat, so they look more like the milkman or something than a cop, but just pretend they're cops for the sake of the test. The video also shows the instructions you're going to get before you take the test, the same ones you'll get on test day. We'll show you a whole thing. There are practice scenarios that are very similar to what you're going to see on test day. There will be a scenario area where you'll see the people in the scenario. There will be little bullet points of information. There's literally a countdown timer up in the corner, so you can see how much time you have to respond and how much time you have left. There are 2 sample scenarios there. It's a best practice to record your response. So a way to get really good at taking these tests, watch the videos, respond, and record yourself responding. I guarantee you will learn things by watching your response. You might notice that you make weird facial expressions when you're nervous. So by being aware of that, you can compensate on test day. A lot of people do the verbal stumbles, verbal tics. It's amazing how many times you do that, watching yourself respond. It's a good way to get better. It's a good way to improve your performance, recording yourself and watching it. So pages 27 through 29 have sample test day instructions, as well as a handout that you would get on test day to read. Pages 30 through 33 have the competency descriptions. So we'll talk a little more about the competency descriptions. There are 3 competencies, each of which are on a custom rating scale. So your performance during each test scenario response period will be scored in 3 different dimensions. We'll call these competencies. The 3 scored SRA competencies are situational awareness, social intelligence, and problem resolution. Situational awareness involves whether, how, and to what degree you notice and assess the physical, mental, emotional, and interpersonal details in the situation so you can accurately understand what is happening and what could happen next. It concerns how you tune into others' emotions and interpret obvious and subtle behavioral cues. Social intelligence involves how you understand and act on feelings, thoughts, and behaviors of other people, how you understand and manage interactions with other people, and how you describe and characterize other people. Finally, problem resolution involves how you resolve problems, disputes, or conflicts, and whether you can make firm decisions to do or not do something. Your responses will be recorded and scored at a later date by a panel. The panel consists of a civilian community evaluator, police personnel, and a Civil Service Commission analyst. The SRA sample scenario video is available on the Civil Service website. Before reviewing the sample scenarios, please reference pages 54 through 67 in your prep guide. Then use the SRA practice checklist on page 68 as you prepare to respond to the sample scenarios. You should record yourself when responding to the scenarios. Use the prep guide when reviewing your response to determine what behaviors you exhibited in each of the 3 competencies and how effective your response was. Okay, so earn points for language proficiency were new during the 2022 police exam, and we've continued that practice. Page 69 of the prep guide provides a breakdown of language proficiency levels as well as the available points for each level. Points are only available for the 8 qualifying languages listed above: Arabic, Cambodian, French, Mandarin, Chinese, Nepali, Russian, Spanish, or Somali. Since the city's demographics may change over time, the languages that qualify are subject to change. As such, we advise you to check the qualifying languages in each new test administration and choose from the list of languages presented on your application. If you would like to take a language fluency exam but not indicate this on your application, contact the Civil Service Commission at 614-645-0800 or policefire-testing@columbus.gov. I'll show those again for you later. To be considered for these earned points, you must pass phase 1 of the police officer exam. Candidates who indicated interest will receive an invite to take the language proficiency test. You must take the test before the deadline and demonstrate a proficiency level of at least intermediate mid on the language fluency test. The SRA will be in English for all police officer candidates. All right, overall score results. So you're probably wondering how the exam is graded. Phase 1 is pass or fail. So candidates who pass the multiple choice and the SRA are placed on an eligible list in rank order based on their Phase 2 SRA score. A score of 90 or above is the 1 band, 80 to 89 is the 2 band, 70 to 79 is band 3. You must score at least a 70 to be placed on the eligible list. After your personal history statement. So before receiving your SRA scores, those who successfully pass the written exam will be invited to complete the personal history statement, or PHS, via email. The PHS contains questions to gather information about personal and relational history, employment, traffic, illegal substances, criminal activity, hate group affiliation, and applicable military history. The Background Investigations Unit uses this data to conduct background checks for those who successfully pass Phase 1 of the testing process and are placed on the eligible list to begin the hiring process. Candidates must complete the PHS while exams are being scored. The goal here is to get you into the academy quickly. So before we're finished, we want you to fill out that PHS so we can get you through the system as quickly as possible. It must be typed. It's a fillable form. You can use it on a computer, tablet. You can do it on your phone. It's a little difficult, but it's possible. Make sure you sign all required locations. If you have difficulty or would prefer to use a computer, you can schedule a time to complete that here at 1111 East Broad Street. Recruiting will host an informational session about this and the OPODIC physical test at a later date. All police officer examination content is confidential. Do not share what you see and hear during each phase of the exam with any other person, especially candidates who may consider taking the exam. Sharing confidential test content with other candidates may give those individuals an advantage, but it could also lower your position on the eligible list, since your position will be based on your score relative to the scores of all other candidates taking the test. Additionally, sharing confidential information with another person, including other test candidates, may be grounds for disciplinary actions, disqualification for the testing process, loss of your right to the examination or to certification or appointment to police officer, and may result in prosecution. Any of you guys ever see the movie Fight Club? What's the first rule of Fight Club? Don't talk about Fight Club. Same thing applies to our exams. Don't talk about our exams. Okay, so the OPOTIC entry fitness test. Once the eligible list is established, the next academy class is scheduled to begin in about 4 months from the date that eligible list is established. Step 3 consists of the OPOTIC physical test, background investigation, and a job interview. You're going to be scheduled for your OPOTIC physical fitness test right away. Again, we're trying to get you into the academy as quickly as possible. Your PAHS will be reviewed, and if it looks good, you'll be scheduled for your job interview and pre-polygraph interview. Be sure to collect all your needed documentation for the pre-polygraph exam. So here is a list of the OPOTIC physical fitness standard required for new recruits. Due to state of Ohio requirements, those entering the police academy must be tested and must meet these physical standards before starting the police academy. As you can see, all of these standards are both age and gender normed. So depending on your age and gender, you'll have different numbers of push-ups and sit-ups to do in a minute and different thresholds to meet on the 1.5-mile run. Again, this happens very quickly after the eligible list is established. So if you have not started a physical fitness training regimen, do so as quickly as possible. Frequently asked questions. What documents will I need to submit before the polygraph exam? You'll need a current valid driver's license or other state-issued identification, proof of current automobile insurance, birth certificate, high school diploma or GED certificate, college diploma if applicable, college transcripts if applicable, marriage license if applicable, divorce decrees and or annulment decrees if applicable, bankruptcy discharge papers or other court decrees only if applicable. What document will I need to submit before the polygraph exam continued? If you have any military documents, we'd love to see your DD-214, discharge certificate, proof of registration letter, or cards from the Selective Service System. Males, your registration letter may be obtained at sss.gov/home/verification. It's a federal website. You can find it there. Please print your registration letter and bring it with you to your pre-interview or polygraph appointment. So another question is, how long will I remain on the eligible list once I pass the exam? The answer is candidates who pass all 3 phases of the civil service exam remain on the eligible list for 1 year unless removed from the eligible list or hired. Note that once a candidate reaches milestones 4 and 5 of the journey to police officer, these steps may extend beyond the life of an eligible list. Okay, I'm a veteran. How do I get those points? Veterans should attach a DD-214 to their application for police officer. If you're a veteran and you did not upload your DD-214, you may email a copy to Civil Service or just bring us a copy on test day. We'll file it and make sure it's uploaded to your profile. Review the Veterans Preference Fact Sheet on the Civil Service website for the full list of acceptable documentation. If I fail this test or I'm not hired while on the list, when can I retest? You will be able to retest after a new application filing period opens for future academy classes. Candidates may test twice within a 12-month period. However, they cannot retest during the same administration. Columbus is continuously taking applications, so you will not have to wait long. For 2024, the filing period will reopen immediately. Therefore, if you fail, you may immediately reapply. Make sure to prepare, though. Make sure to study and prepare yourself to do the best you can on this exam. Also, it's a good idea to subscribe to job alerts if you have not done so already. The governmentjobs.com website where you filled out your application. You can also subscribe to job alerts. Any job with the city you're interested in, we'll send you email when a test is coming up and when we're accepting applications. Kind of a nice feature. Okay, my address has changed. What should I do? Go to our website, columbus.gov/civil service. Log in, click on your username, select your profile, and edit any information that needs to be updated. We do send most of our communications through email, so please make sure we have your current email address. All right, what is critical for this process? Do everything necessary to stay in the process. Prepare for each phase of the test. Keep your information current and check your email. It's going to be the same account under which you applied. Before I open the floor to questions, I'm going to show you the Police Academy training video. Give you a little preview of what you're in for, so let's have a look.
There we go, first line down. 15, 46, 47, 1, 2, 3, 20, 31, 32, 50. My name is Remus Porcella. I'm a police officer with the City of Columbus Division of Police. I work in the basic training unit at the Training Academy, and I train new recruits. 2, 3. So today, we are trying to get you folks to fully understand what we expect from you when you come and do a test to prepare to get into the Columbus Police Academy. The ultimate goal is to help you know what the expectations are so you can be successful in this process. We are going to now show you the 3 things, of course, the 3 different exercises that we expect you to do at the 15% Empata test, the sit-ups, the push-ups, and then we're going to talk about the 1.5 mile run. All right, so initially we're going to start you with the sit-ups. If you're up to do the sit-ups, you're going to lay down. We're going to have one of these blue mats for you. We want you to sit down on the mat, and then we want your feet off the mat. And then the next person in line is actually going to hold your feet. So their knees are going to go on top of the shoelaces while their hands are going to hold the ankles from the front. All right? And that's what the next person in line is going to do. For you, we're looking for you to have your fingers interlocked behind the head. It's important that you keep them interlocked and they don't start coming apart. As soon as they start coming apart, we don't count those. So keep them interlocked the whole time. All right? And then the instructor that's going to count is going to have their hand across the knees. And when we say ready and begin, you're going to come up. And then your elbows need to touch the hand, basically breaking the plane of the knees. And as you go back down, we want to make sure that your shoulder blades touch the ground. So if you stop there, we're going to say, no, you got to come all the way up. If you come all the way up and then you don't go all the way down, and then you come back up, we're going to tell you, no, you need to go all the way down. So these are important things that you need to listen for. As folks get tired towards the end of that minute, so you get to do this for 1 minute, you have to reach that minimum within 1 minute. Folks start lifting their hips off the ground to try to get that oomph to get up, right? And those don't count either. You have to use your abs, not your hips. So she's going to demonstrate now the proper sit-ups. As you can see, nice, using the abs, fingers stay interlocked, elbows come all the way to the top of the knees, and shoulder blades touch the ground. These are the proper sit-ups that we're looking for. All right, very good. So next we're going to demonstrate to you the proper push-ups that we expect from you when you come in here. You'll be asked to lay down on the ground on your chest, all the way flat on the ground. That is the starting position with the hands to the side, all right? And then the instructor will have an instructor that will have the timer ready. Again, you get 1 minute to do this to meet your minimum. And the instructor will say ready up, and you need to come up to the plank position. Don't start yet. The instructor has to make sure that everybody in the line is in the up position before he says begin. Once he does that, takes about a second or so, he'll say begin, and you're gonna do your proper push-up. You'll see the instructor here will have their fist underneath the chest. We're looking for you to come down to 90-degree bend on the elbow, come up to a soft extension, and your chest to touch the fist of the instructor. If you can do that, we're good. The other thing is, you can see he's got a very nice plank body. He's not allowing anything to sag. If he allows this to sag and the knees touch the ground, we have to stop the count. It means you cannot do any more. If you decide to rest and you go into a pike position like this, we have to stop the count. We cannot do any more. So if you're gonna rest, please rest in a plank position. You can adjust your hands, you can adjust your feet a little bit. The feet cannot be on top of each other. They have to be straight on the ground, all right? But certainly you can adjust the hands wider or closer if you want, and that's not a problem. We're just looking for proper push-ups with a nice plank position. Go ahead, Jack, finish out a few more, please. After you're done with the sit-ups and push-ups in here, we'll give you a little break, give you a chance to use the bathroom, get a drink if you need to. We're gonna go outside to the starting line of our 1.5-mile course that we have here around the academy. We'll have people along the route to kind of make sure that you are you're running the right way, and explain to you that there is a hill going up on the course, and of course that helps you when you come back down, because now you're coming down the hill. You wanna make sure you run outside, prepare for this, because if you're running on a treadmill, or if you're running maybe even on a high school rubberized track, it's not the same as running on blacktop. So do yourself a favor and make sure you run to meet the conditions that we have here, and that'll make you more successful. While this might seem like a lot, you know, it's ultimately still just sit-ups, just push-ups, and running outside. So don't get defeated in your mind about this. We've had thousands of people pass these tests and have become police officers. This is just something that if you put your mind to it and you work a little bit hard, there's no reason that you can't meet that minimum to get into the police academy.
So, as you all know, everyone passed. I'm extremely proud in each and every one of you, the hard work and effort that you put in to the physical fitness and the academics of this training academy. You are going to be fine officers.
140th recruit class. Michael Mann, say chief.
So that video is available on CPD YouTube if you would like to watch that again. All right, so we'll open up the question and answer session here. Before we do, here are a couple of useful contact numbers. Civil service testing information is up there, and the police recruiting unit, their contact information is up there as well. Feel free to take a picture of that if you need to. This is a nice way to subdivide the questions here, because any questions you have about the test process, I'm going to answer. Any questions you have about what actually happens in the academy or on the job, Officer Broussard's going to answer. Feel free to come on up. All right, who's got a question? If you have one, somebody else probably is thinking it too. About the test.
I have a pay question.
Yes.
What's pay like in the academy?
Oh, that's a great question. What is pay like in the academy?
So you guys get paid, the starting pay, we just increased it. I want to say it's like $33.67, that you will get paid while you guys are in the academy.
And that's $33.67 an hour?
Yes, an hour.
All right, that's an hourly rate. Nice. Yes.
Hello. About the birth certificate, I'm from Dominican Republic, but I am a citizen. So do I have to bring the certificate from this country or from my country?
Okay, that's a great question. If you were born in another country, we will happily accept the birth certificate from your country of birth. So if you can get a copy of that, that's just fine. We'll do the verification on our end.
For a naturalization letter rather than the birth certificate, is that an option?
Okay, what about a naturalization letter instead of a birth certificate? Now, we still need the birth certificate because we have to confirm you are who you say you are. So whatever your country of origin, we will gladly accept the birth certificate from that country, and we have translators on staff who can help us out with that. So, yeah. Yes, sir.
What's the typical time frame from the test to being sworn in typically?
Okay, what's the typical time frame from the test to being sworn in? That's a good question. So the academy typically has 3 classes a year.
3 classes a year. You guys are for the December class. So the academy is a little less than 7 months long. Then you go in your coaching period, and then you're on a probation for another year. So you want to make sure that you're staying out of trouble, not getting yourself caught up in any type of foolishness. But you'll be on probation for a year, but you'll still be, once you graduate from the academy, you will be a sworn police officer.
But the earliest you would start the academy would be December.
Can you talk a little bit more about what it's like to be on probation and what that consists of?
Like we said, you will, once you graduate from the academy, you will go onto a coaching period, a coaching phase, where you will ride along with another field training officer. You may be on first shift, you may be second, third shift, might be on the west side of Columbus, might be on the north side. You will be with them for about 5 weeks, and then you'll move to another phase. You have 4 different phases with 4 different coaches. They grade you on your traffic stop, everything what you learned in the academy, applying it outside on the street, doing those type, like I said, traffic stop or responding to gun runs, robberies, different type of things, and just seeing if you're able to practice your officer safety skills, know what to do, you know the law, you're not violating people's rights, those kind of things. And so that's what you get graded on to determine whether or not they believe that you should be become with us. So you can, there's a potential that you could fail the coaching period because they don't feel that you're safe. You're not retaining the information that you learned in the academy. Also in the academy, you may fail because you guys have driving tests. You guys have firearms. You guys will have 2 times to be able to pass those different phases that you have to pass. And if you can't pass those, there's a possibility they will recycle you for a new class, or that they will recycle you for a new class, or that you may have to reapply over again. So like I said, that might be in firearms, that might be in defensive tactics, that might be driving. So we have different things that you guys get graded for to move on through the process.
If you have to reapply, at what point in the process do you find yourself back in?
It's a possibility that you can. So like I said, there's times that people have failed certain areas. For example, they might have failed driving. What will happen is they may keep you on our payroll and have you working at our front desk at the academy. And then just when our next class comes, you'll be recycled into that next class.
Thank you.
So during that, is it said it's a 12-month probation period once you're finished with the academy? So you said that on those 12 months, then you're going to be going with someone else. You're not just going to get thrown to the fire.
No. So once you graduate for the 7 months, you will have your training that you will be, like I said, for 4 different officers for 4 different phases. Once you're out as a single officer, you're out as a probation, single officer patrolling as a 1 officer unit, responding to different runs. As a probation officer. Now you will have your sergeant will periodically ride with you and just see what your knowledge of the precinct that you're working, just if you have any other problems. But again, with Columbus being as big as we are, you're still responding. 2 officers will still come with you, but you are pushing a cruiser by yourself.
Yes.
Do you rotate precincts, or are you designated to certain ones?
So basically, you'll bid for your jobs. When you guys go into your academy class, you get ranked. Again, it's seniority based. So once you guys graduate, they will have a list of jobs that are open that you guys will then be able to pick where you want to work at. You may decide within 56 days that you don't like that precinct that you want to work at. Then you're able to, if there's a job open, go ahead and apply for another job and move into a different job. But you guys will be working 2nd or 3rd shift for the most part. First shift is not, very rare will that happen, that you guys after getting off of probation will be on first shift.
Yes.
About the shift, so it's flexible, or you have to choose the shift, first shift, second shift, third shift, or they're gonna put you on a schedule?
So it's a second. So we have first shift, which is it could be from 6 to 2, 7 to 3. We have also the second shift, and then we have third shift, and then we also have evening midwatch. And those hours are the 10-hour shifts where you work for 4 days, off 3 days. Your question was, yes, if there's a job open, you could apply to be in those positions. But again, we are a seniority-based organization, so it would be based off seniority, how being able to get that particular job.
So my point is, you have to stay on the like third shift 100%, or you can stay first shift, so like morning time. So that's my question.
As a new officer, you'll be on second or third. Yes, as a new officer. As you start getting more time on, you will then be able to apply for those first shift jobs that we have available.
And second question is about the language. So just in case if someone wants to apply for another language to take an exam, so is that possible? So because I couldn't see any language that I'm talking, so is it possible to offer the language, or you can't offer to take a test with that?
So the question is, can you take the test in a language other than English? No, the test is entirely in English. However, you can get the language proficiency points for speaking other languages, but the actual test itself will be in English.
Is your seniority in, like, let's say if you have like police fire time or time in OPERS, does that count in seniority? Like if you paid into any of the sister systems?
No, so your time will be consistent on how much time you have on as a Columbus Police Officer Patrol.
How do you dictate seniority in the academy when everybody starts at the same time?
So again, when I was talking about you get points, they rank you like with your physical fitness, the firearms, driving, you get scored on those things as well.
All right, interesting questions. Anybody else?
No,
Oh, you go ahead.
No, you're fine.
So the academy is only Columbus Police Department, or do you have different cities?
So we actually do train other officers. So you may actually have Rennesburg, you may have Dublin, you may have some other those other agencies inside. You might even actually have fire. You may have fire that may be coming in our academy class too. So it won't be just CPD there.
I got a question. What about 401k? Like, is there a certain percentage I can put in? Or like, can y'all match us on the 401k?
Do you know more of that?
No, because you guys are under a different, the question is, can I contribute to a 401k as a
Yes.
police officer?
Yes, I mean, so you would just go onto our OPATA, or not OPATA, OP, and get that information as far as, so yes.
They match us, like if I put 4%, will they put like 4%?
Yes,
Okay.
they do.
Latoya, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yes, we had a great question over here. How can you get right along?
So again, if you send us an email, we'll be able to send you. There's an application that you guys have to fill out and then submit it to the is Ride Along Columbus Police, and then they'll be able to set you up for a ride along, if that's something what you're interested in doing.
Yes.
If you graduated from high school but don't have a copy of your diploma, how would you access that? From the school, would they have a record?
All right, great question. If you graduated high school but don't have a copy of your diploma, yes, your high school that you graduated from will have some record of that. Whatever record they have, transcripts, copies of your diploma, that's good enough. I would suggest contacting the high school you graduated from.
The high school directly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. You had a question?
Where can we apply for the second language points?
All right, so where to apply for the additional language points? When you fill out your application, there will be a box you'll need to check to say you speak additional languages. Okay, so if you did that, you should be good. If you have any questions or you're not sure if you did or not, you can just contact civil service at the number up there. Anybody else?
I will also say that once we get the list of people who are on the eligible list, you guys will get an email from civil service giving you dates that we will put on, like physical workouts for you guys to do to get you prepared for the physical fitness test. I can't stress enough how important it is that for you guys to actually start doing that now. People are always surprised when they get that date saying that their physical fitness is within 2 weeks after they got their eligible list, and they're saying they're not ready. So however, if you guys are determined, you know that this is what you want to do, I advise you to get out there and actually do the work, put in that work. We're here to support you guys all the way through the whole process. So if you need us, like I said, give us a call, send us an email. We're here to help you. Also even give you workouts that you might need to do. To get you ready and where you need to be at.
All right, any other questions? Yes.
Established hours for the academy, Monday through Friday, like 9 to 5, 8 to 4?
So it is Monday through Friday. I can't tell you exactly the time because we have multiple classes in there. It will vary. So you may be there from 7 to 4, 8 to 5. You have an hour lunch unpaid. But your hours are typically is going to be around that time, 7 to 4, 8 to 5 in academy, Monday through Friday. You guys will be, like I said, hopefully a December class, so you will have those holidays off.
That's because of the nature of the instructor's positions, correct?
As far as with the holiday.
Yes.
Yes, because once you go on the street, yes, the holidays you will be working if that's your day to be working. So yes, in the academy, you guys you will have the holidays off.
One question about the pay. Is it weekly or bi-weekly?
Bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly, okay.
All right, anybody else have a question?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kind of silly, but do you have to like shave your head if you're like going to the academy?
So no, you do not have to shave your hair. And when I went into the academy, yes, the guys had to do the buzz cut. There was different hair standards. No, you do not have to shave your hair in the academy. I will also, if you guys have like tattoos on your hands, face and neck, if you, like I said, going through the process, that is one of those removal standards to just kind of be mindful of, to look into maybe possibly getting that removed if this is something what you guys want to do. Yes.
What about facial hair?
Facial piercings.
Okay, yeah, so the facial piercings, you're going to have those taken out into the academy. They're going to request that you have, I won't necessarily say clean cut, but all that stuff is, once you get into those final stage, you guys will have an overview with the academy staff and they will go over all those kind of things with you. But I will say, yes, with the facial piercings, you would, as far as in the academy, you're not going to be able to wear the facial piercing.
Now, can you put the clear spacers in there or nothing at all?
I'll talk to you. Talk to you.
I got a few.
Yes.
When are we going to take the next exam? And when the academy is going to start? In case, you know.
All right, so the next exam date coming up is June 21st. We have a number of dates available in July and August, but the earliest you would go into the academy would be December.
So it doesn't matter if you take the same June, July, you know, it's going to be the same day for the academy, right?
Right. Yep.
Is there a certain amount of like people that can be accepted, like can't go over like, or could everyone like hypothetically that's in here right now, if they like pass it, we could all go?
Okay, that's a good question. What is the maximum number you can have in an academy class?
Okay, you guys are asking some great questions here, huh? So we will. It depends, right? So it really depends based off how many people that we may actually have from outside agency as well. So we could have up to 60. We could have up to 70. It all kind of varies on how many we get to have a final offer and how many we have from outside agencies.
So I have a question. If you get scheduled to take the physical fitness test and you happen to be out of the country at that time, are you able to reschedule that?
Yes, you are able to reschedule your physical fitness test.
Can you give some examples of maybe some recent graduating class sizes?
So we'll have, 50, 55. But we may have, you may have 50 in a class, and then you may have 4 or 5 that may drop off in the beginning. So that could also be a possibility too, right? You guys may not necessarily get a final offer to be in a particular class for the December class. Within that week or two, you may have somebody decide that this may not be a job for them. They don't want to be a police officer. They may decide that they're going to leave. You guys may get a phone call that day and say, hey, can you be at the academy in 30 minutes? So there's a possibility that you guys, like I said, at the last minute to kind of fill in those classes. We have OPATA classes that you guys have to have. So there's a certain amount of OPATA hours that you guys must complete in order to become a police officer with us. So if you don't have those OPATA hours, again, that might be somebody who may have to be recycled through the process because they don't have those OPATA hours.
So for the firearms training, do you use the same OPATA certifications and standards that private security uses? Like, is it the same?
I don't know what the private security standards that
3550, 666, and 6, and barricade and concealment.
No, we have our own standards that we have as well as, so we will have the OPATA standard, and then we also will have our CPD course that you guys would do.
I know that we gotta start in the case we got graduated and everything. We gotta start the 2nd or 3rd shift. I know that, but what days? Monday to Friday, Sunday to Saturday.
At the academy, what days are you there?
When we are graduated.
Oh, when you're actually a police officer?
You will have, it varies. So you may have Monday, Tuesday off, Wednesday, Thursday. We're 24/7. So we always have police on working. So to say exactly what your shift or your hours would be, I don't know. You could have, like I said, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday as your days off.
For the mile-and-a-half run, do you have to jog it all the way through? Or
No, if you make your time, you can make your time. If that means power walking, if that means doing cartwheels or whatever, you make your time is how you make your time.
You had mentioned driving training and driving qualifications, range qualifications, things like that. Just out of curiosity, do you have like mounted unit trainings or motorcycle training as a part of that?
In academy, no, we don't.
So it's purely just cruisers?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so what we're going to do here, I'll officially dismiss you guys. We'll all hang out here in case you have a question you don't want to ask in front of the group. But thank you so much for being here today, and good luck on your journey to becoming a police officer. Thank you.